Right, hello and welcome to Theme Park Euphoria. Now, first of all, I'm not quite sure how the audio is going to turn out for this one because I'm using the microphone on my earphones for this one because the microphone on my iPhone, which I use to record these videos, is broken. Don't exactly know why this is. It works fine with the camera, but on other apps, I'm not sure what the problem is. The microphones do not work at all. I'm going to have to take it into the App Store and find out exactly what's wrong with it. But anyway, so for this video, I do have another video regarding the Alton Towers Retro Squad campaign, because in the last video I talked about how a different Super Trooper was going to be rebranded Funk and Fly, as this year is going to be one owned by the company themselves, PWS Rides, who build them. However, the one that was there last year was David Irvin's one, who I'm hoping will start travelling with it this year. So anyway, there were talks of what was going to fill the void of Jumper Jumper, which was branded as Mixtape, because, be honest, I refuse to call it Mixtape, because for multiple reasons, because I just don't like the fact that after it left the park and when it went to Hyde Park Winter Wonderland, people continued to call it Mixtape, and now that it's back on the travelling fair circuit, people continue to call it Mixtape. It's not bloody Mixtape, stop it. But anyway, there were talks of what exactly was going to fill the void in the X Sector. A lot of talks suggested an Extreme Orbiter, which did end up being the case, but I will get to a bit more on that later. But I just want to talk about something first. There were quite a few choices on who Alton Towers or the Mellors Group, who are sorting the matter, could have made an offer to, because I know that things have been hard, especially with the Scottish and Welsh fairground section, because of how different their governments have been handling the COVID situation, especially when it came to Omicron. Because I do remember that Iron Brew Carnival only opened for 3 days. It was scheduled to open until January, but when the Scottish Government announced restrictions after Boxing Day, the Iron Brew Carnival could not operate because of the restrictions in terms of the capacities as well as the physical distancing implied. So therefore, Iron Brew Carnival only lasted for 3 days and ceased operation immediately after closing on Christmas Eve. But anyway, the thing that interests me is the fact that there were quite a few Extreme Orbiters that could have filled the void at Alton Towers. For example, here you've got Wayne Smith's, you've got Mark Benson's, which has actually changed to recent ownership, I should point out, which is now owned by Thomas Irish. You've got Tom Wilson's one, and you have got James Dancer's one. Now, they could have picked any four-arm Extreme Orbiter to fill the void, but of all the ones that ended up filling the void in the end was Mitchell Wilmot's Air Raid. Now, for those who don't know, this has been regarded as the best four-arm Extreme in the country because of its presentation and the fact that it's won quite a few awards to my knowledge at the likes of Cold Links Market and maybe Hull Fair. It's an award-winning ride, and Air Raid is a massive loss for the fairground travelling scene in the UK. And see it at Alton Towers actually saddened a lot of people, which was understandable. And it was even more saddening to see they were going to cover up the Air Raid theme and replace it with Spinjam, which was announced officially by the park at Alton Towers. So here we can see that the ride photo credit by Tower Street. So I'm slowing up my words there. But basically Tower Street took a photo of the ride on the section before it was rebranded as Spinjam. And there were a few changes as well. For example, here we can see the ride after they did the rebranding on the centrepiece and the pay box. But also one thing I couldn't help but notice, I thought this was a thing that was playing up with my video playback and the video quality, but what they've also done is they have changed the colour of the caps from all greens on the lightning bolt arrows, from green to red and blue, and although that could potentially look good, I don't feel it works well with the green. I mean, if an Extreme left the factory with maybe the lightning bolt arrows painted stripes red and blue and have the caps colour coordinated to that, that would look potentially good. But because of the red and blue caps are still situated with the green, personally I don't quite know what to make of it. And there was one other thing they've also done, is they've just put the bottom half of the caps on, and they clearly, by the looks of it, hasn't put the bulbs in, because, actually hold that thought, I'll be right back. Okay, so I do actually have some light caps, which are, they're a different brand to the ones used on Air Raid, but they're also on a much smaller scale. For example, the ones on Air Raid are E14, however these ones are from E10 and from a different company. Now, I basically have these because just for personal projects, but I also do amusement lighting partially for a living. Now, if I take the lid off, and you can see just about on the inside, so here we have the lid of the cap, and here we have basically the cap itself. So inside, these aren't the type of bulbs that they use. These are just 12-volt versions because the power supply I have is 12-volt, and I don't fancy my chances on getting hold of like 60 or anything of a high voltage. So 12-volt is usually my preference, but I do use high voltage for actual fairground projects. But as you can see, if I bring it closer to the camera, this is how they basically look on the lightning bolts of air raid. So they've basically just taken the lid off the caps, taken the bulbs out, and actually we've also got the holders here. So sorry about this, the caps on the holder were green, but what they've basically done is just taken some red halves and screwed them onto the holders and just left it like this. I don't know if Alton Towers are actually going to put some bulbs in the caps, or are they going to, you know, put the lid on as well, but I'm honestly not going to be surprised if that ends up being. I just realised the shell on my button was undone. But anyway, so all that being said, let's just have a look at how Air Raid is currently running, or Spinjam as it's best known as at that park. As we can see, it does look to be giving some pretty decent cycles. There were a lot of worries about if the ride was going to have some slowed down or toned down cycles to suit more of the family atmosphere of the park, but as we can see, that is not the case. It does look to be on a automatic cycle, probably similar to how it was ran at the Thunderworld events when it did Norfolk and Bristol last year. Yeah, so there are two ways of it. You've got an automatic cycle, which is a choice of 3, and you've also got a manual cycle, which I've got a photo of the control box, so we can see the controls for manual, and we can also see the controls for automatic as well. So basically, just if you want it on automatic, just push a button and it does everything for you. If you want it on manual, it allows you to do various different things. For example, like controlling the speed, the height of the arms, and the hydraulic rams between the. I'm trying to figure out the arms and where the seating is basically. But yeah, I am impressed with how Alton Towers have been running this so far, and I'm hoping to get to Alton Towers at some point this year because I do have some unfinished business there, thanks to a lot of stuff that I don't really want to comment on again. And I do hope maybe to get some videos of Spinjam when I'm there. So basically that's all I have to say for this one, and thank you so much for watching. I will be back with another video tomorrow regarding a new ride at Bream Theme Park, but I will elaborate more on that. So until tomorrow, thank you for watching and see you later.